Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Loan Officer Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Kiles. We are powered by the Mortgage Marketing Animals. And if you wanted to hear from a great friend in the industry, a giant, my dear friend, Carl White is with us today. What's up, brother?
Dude, I take offense to the giant thing. I've been working on that. I ride my bicycle literally 40 miles a day now, like literally 7 days a week. So I'm not crazy about that giant thing anymore.
An industry legend. Like the other day, I said an industry OG, and you didn't like that either. You're like, well, man, I'm like,
now I sound old. Now I sound old, you know?
No, you're not. You're none of the above. Okay. Let me put it to you this way. One of the smartest guys in the industry, one of my dearest friends, and somebody who undoubtedly has made one of the greatest impacts in the mortgage industry in the last 10 years. My dear friend, Carl White.
Well, brother, it's really an honor to be on your podcast. I've seen, the amount of reviews you're getting and 5-star reviews. I mean, you're really making a serious impact. And dude, I hear your name, like I'll be talking to somebody and they'll go, well, Steve Kiles was saying the other day, insert in thing. Yeah. And so real good. But hey, so I want to do something different, and you don't know about this. So this is kind of, I'm doing this, I just called you up and I said, hey man, I want to do a podcast episode with you. And you asked, what's the subject? And I said, I got one. Just trust me with it.
You did. True story.
So dude, you're a great interviewer, and you interview some serious, iconic individuals here on your podcast, both, that what we would see as like the leaders in the industry, and then, average man on the street, so to speak, or average woman on the street with branch managers and loan officers. But dude, nobody ever interviews you, and you got a lot to say. So I would like to interview you. It's kind of like going on the Larry King show, and I want to
turn it
Larry
around.
King.
I know you turn it around and saying, no, I'd like to interview you. I'm your guest, but now let's interview you.
Yeah, because you look at like Jimmy Fallon. My guess is the man's got a lot to say.
Yeah,
or Oprah. God knows the lady's got a lot to say. Why doesn't somebody interview them sometime? So I'm going to break right into this. And you have no idea the questions I'm going to ask.
I have no idea. Totally fine. Let's do it. This will be fun.
And this will be a non-edited version. So
non-edited. We won't edit it. Let me do this as we get into it. I want to invite you. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you share this with 2 other LOs, and then give us a review. And Carl White, let's go, brother.
All right. So, Steve, let's talk a little bit about. Like we could go into, how'd you get into the business, but, instead, I think I'm going to do a different twist on this. And let's talk about like current mortgage environment with what's going on right now. So what would you say, what's the biggest challenge that loan officers are seeing right now? Like, what would you say is the single biggest challenge? And you know what, let me narrow it down just a little bit more. Let's say somebody was closing 5 to 20 loans last year, and now they find themselves at like half of what they were last year.
Yeah.
For that group, what's their single biggest challenge?
Is we stopped prospecting.
I think about that.
Yeah. So there's 2 things. The sky is falling. Yes, some would say that. You and I have been in the business a long time, 20 years in the business. And I will tell you, at every downturn of the mortgage industry, my team, my group, all this, we've never actually went backwards. We went forward. And I think what we have to do is there's two answers to that. You said the single biggest challenge is, number one, I think loan officers are listening and believing that because the market has shifted so quickly, there's nothing they can do. So there's a helplessness to it. Like I'm victim to what's happened around me. And what I would encourage you is I can't control the results, but I can control the input. And so if you continue to do the right activity that we know works, part of the greatest gift, Carl, is when you and I joined forces last year, the greatest gift I got was now I'm around thousands of LOs being a part of the mortgage marketing animals that know that this activity, like we're not even saying go figure out the right activity. We know the activity that produces the right result. So the first thing is listening to what others are saying and believing there's nothing you can do to get out of one of the greatest shifts we've seen in the mortgage industry. Kevin and I and you were talking the other day, and he reminded us there's never been a time in history rates doubled so quickly. Rates have doubled, but never in 4.5 months. And so number one, it's mindset. Number two is, I think the biggest challenge that loan officers have done and not addressed quick enough was, Carl, last year you didn't have to prospect to get the business. And so there was a letting go of the fundamentals of what I'm doing in my daily success plan. And so what we believed was, well, man, I was literally talking to my team leader this morning, Sabrina, and we were talking, and I said, not Sabrina, what's happened is, what you could do last year to get the business has changed so rapidly that you've got to double and triple the activity to get the same results. Not because agents don't like you, but her and I were talking this morning, Carl, agents that were qualified 5 months ago are no longer closing 8 units a year because they're seeing a drop in their business. And it's not because they're not marketing or reaching out or doing the right things. It's because inventory is low. When inventory is low and you're competing on every deal, you're just winning less deals. And so I think the challenge is twofold. We've listened to what everybody told us and believed it enough to stop doing the second part, the right activity. We aren't doubling down on what we know is the right activity. And the simplest, Carl, you taught me this. It's so funny. I'm like, Carl, I can do all these great things. And you would say, Steve, I want to do the least amount of work that gets the right results. And you and I over the last 8 years and a half now have learned, I mean, you've known it for years, but what I've just really come to know and keep encouraging our branch and loan officers is, can you do more events? Yes. Can you do more of the shiny objects? Yes. The single greatest activity that costs the least amount of money that gets you the biggest results is picking up your phone from 9 to 11 and knowing who you're going to call every single day. 13 talk tos, 3 to 5 realtor appointments every single week, 13 talk tos a day, 3 to 5 realtor appointments a week consistently over the next 4 months, and your business will absolutely transform and get back to 2020, 2021 numbers.
Man, great answer, brother. And you're right. Like last year, we just woke up and got out of bed and we had bodies ripped, with a beach body, body by Jake. Just by getting up in the morning, we had a phenomenal business. And here we are this year, we're finding out, gosh, I can't just wake up and be ripped. Come to find out, I have to do some push-ups and sit-ups, right? Yeah. And to keep that same body, figuratively speaking. And so you're right. So we can't just sit at the order window, open up the window, and these cars are driving by asking for French fries. We got to get out there and sell French fries.
Well, hey, who couldn't get a mortgage at 2.5%? Right. Like every single person we knew needed a refinance. And that's why we also fell asleep, Carl. We allowed our refis to grow at such a level. And many businesses, they went 60, 70% of the business. We're in the marketing animals. If the refis are growing that much, we have to couple it with our purchases so that they always stay at the 70-30. So, and
70-30, 70
percent purchase, 30% refi, because
always
what will happen is refis are fickle. They're up and down. And as crazy as it is, there are still refis. The cash out refis to pay off high credit card consumer debt still makes sense at a 5.5% for most people who have the equity. So you can still get the refis, but they're just not everybody. It's not relevant for everybody. And so I think that's a huge part.
Yeah. And another thing you said a minute ago, which I think is so true, is there's two groups of loan officers right now. One is outside looking up at the sky to see when the sky is falling, and the other group is out there prospecting.
100%.
And so instead of looking up the sky, waiting for the sky to fall, they're out there prospecting. And come to find out, if you're prospecting, the sky's not falling, because we're seeing many loan officers. This is not just an exceptional one or two. We're seeing many loan officers literally having their best months ever, because they're prospecting instead of going on a forum some way and trying to what we call BS, which is blame somebody, right? Blame somebody. And instead they're out there prospecting. So
Hey,
Awesome.
let me say one thing to that. I was talking. I talk, and you know this. I'm talking to a ton of loan officers every single day. And yesterday, I was talking to a gentleman, and he was a inside sales. He did all of the consumer direct leads that were coming in, and he said, "Man, I'm looking for a job." And so we got to talking about it. I said, "Tell me about it." And that it goes back to, there are some people that just blame the industry. They look up and say the sky's falling. And I said, well, great, what's your strategy for building relationships and doing self-generated business? And he said, man, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go find another job with another mortgage company who will give me leads. And I just said, listen, I want to encourage you. And I did. I encouraged and gave him some thoughts, but I just, at the end, there's really two paths. That path is not available right now. The path that is available is, are you willing to do the right work, to do the activity, to build authentic, meaningful relationships and self-generate realtor related business? So
yeah, love it. Hey,
yep.
All right. So the next question I'm going to ask you is, dude, you're really known for just phenomenal scripting, or what you've taught me a new phrase is conversations by design. And just real quick, if you've never heard this phrase, Steve is just fantastic at this. And I see these things sometimes, where somebody say, hey, I don't like scripting. I like to just talk on the fly. But it's like, if somebody asks you your phone number, there's a certain way to give it. There's a numerical sequence, 555-1212, whatever. And if you say that any other way, you'll get less results, because that's the only way to say it where they'll actually have your phone number. So if we say it any other way, we have less results, that they're not going to be calling us. So there is a right way and a wrong way to say things, right? How did you become so fantastic at scripting? And dude, I know you're a real humble guy. So, and this is a real thing, man. So this is a real question. I need you to take your humble hat off, right? Totally cool. I'm asking you the question. Are you like a John Lennon, where it's just naturally gifted, or did you work on it, or a little bit of both? Or like, really, where'd you get this gift from? Because brother, I've heard a lot of people that are really good at rebuttals, and there's some fantastic other people.
Yeah.
You're the best I've ever heard. Like, where'd you get that skill?
Yeah. Hey, well, Carl, I'll tell you this. I've never heard you say it like that. What a refreshing way to talk about conversations by design and design conversations, the phone number, because it's exactly what it is. When we talk about script, so two things. Am I good? I'm an oratory community. Like, when you and I hang out, I get more out of those 2 or 3 days every month we spend time together, and are inseparable, because I work things out auditorily. Like I need to talk things out. So do I lean more towards words? Yes. But how I got better at design conversations and conversations by design is really this. Every time something would happen, if I would lose a deal or I created frustration, like when I was doing my Just Ask Tuesday updates, Carl, something pops up. I always keep this notepad next to me. You and I do the same thing, but I've got this notepad and I've done it for years and it lives next to me. So if something comes up, I'll write it down. And then what I did was, just every day, I'd go home in the evening. Like, let me give you an example. I was making my Tuesday update calls, and I'm sitting there saying, hey, everything's going well. It's great. This is my update. We should, the file was in underwriting. We've ordered the appraisal. And I would go through my whole process. And at the end of the conversation, they'd say, okay, great. But are we still going to close on time? And I heard that time and time and time again. And all a design conversation is this. It's where I answer the question before they can ask it. So I started just being aware of the conversations I was having. And so when I'm hearing, well, are we still going to close on time? And then I realized, well, Carl, all the agent wants to know is that we're still on track for a smooth and flawless closing. Now, why did I say smooth and flawless? That didn't come out the first time I said it. I just would say, hey, we're on track. Everything's going to hit closing on time. And then I realized what they really want to know is, then I'd hear them say, well, do you expect any problems? And then I started changing that one word and say, well, are we going to have any problems? Well, if I say smooth, then they know that means there are no problems coming. So I would say, hey, we're on a pace for a smooth closing. And then what I began to realize was, no, they don't just want it smooth. They want to make sure that nothing pops up at the end, because you can have it smooth. And then when you get to your loan estimate, a payoff on a credit card statement wasn't sent over correctly. And now they're waiting at the table for 2 hours to get it funded. So what I started doing was, it wasn't like these conversations just came. It was being aware of what was being said and understanding what you're creating is, look, conversations are a feeling, Carl. You and I know that.
Yeah.
A mortgage transaction is nothing more than what they feel at the beginning and what they feel at the end. Everything in between is documents and data. So if I can start the process with a great feeling and end it with a great feeling, I win every time. So these design conversations would come and saying, hey, well, the agent really wants to know we're on track for a smooth and flawless closing. And when I would say that at the end of my literally 2-minute update, the agent's nerves, everything calmed. And I realized, wow, that conversation won. So then I just started saying it more and more. And I realized at that point, I didn't need to tweak it anymore. Same thing with the borrower. Whenever I would say, hey, I'm going to pull your credit, I instantly felt something go out of the phone like, and so I realized, oh my gosh, I'm trying to pull something out of them. So, okay, how do I say it in a way that they don't feel like I'm pulling something, but I'm actually giving them value? So, Carl, I said, okay, well, pull doesn't work. Hey, if I'm working with somebody, wouldn't we review it together? So let's review credit. Hey, we're going to review that together. And so I began to see these words, like I used to say all the time, hey, to be honest with you, Carl, I'm looking at the numbers and I'm a little concerned about your cash to close. And then what I realized was, one guy challenged me, Carl, and he said, well, what do you mean to be honest with me? Like, you're not always honest? And I thought, oh, I can't say that again. Yeah. And so I started realizing half of design conversations is being aware of what you're saying and the impact it's having onto a client. Like, here was another one, Carl. You and I love this one. I lost several deals. We're doing our pre-approved and looking calls on Thursday. And I'll never forget this one that I called. We had been working with him. It was like October, and this was February. And it wasn't last year, but it was the year before. And I'll never forget, Carl, we called him and I said, hey, Mr. Borrower, wanted to do our just our follow-up with you, check and see how the house home hunt is moving along. And you know what he told me, Carl? Hey, Steve, I've already closed. Thank you for everything you've done. I used another lender. And when they tell me that, I don't get bitter, I get better. So I literally said, Mr. Borrower, if you don't mind, what was the difference? Why did you choose a different lender? And he said, well, Steve, the rate you quoted me back in October was just too high. Ouch.
You go, well, but
it was October.
It's lower since then. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the market has changed. We could have beat and I found out what they had and I knew we could have beat it. And I just realized at that point that saying a rate versus a rate range actually cost me deals I didn't even know was costing me. So every script and every design conversation and everything we were saying, Carl, was really just being aware of the pain or the frustration or, hey, what happened here? Why did I lose that deal? And, I love it. I was on a call yesterday and somebody said this, ask bold questions. I've never said it like that, but I tell you, that's exactly what I was doing, was just asking the bold questions. Hey, if you used another lender, do you mind telling me why? What was the difference? Hey, if I lost a realtor relationship, hey, tell me what caused you to choose another lender so I can get better, because I'm passionate about getting better. And so design conversations are really conversations that are brought about with evaluation, and they don't get better. I didn't walk out and say, hey, is there anything that would prevent me from being your lender? I started saying it and fumbling through it and tweaking, just like a ham radio. I was tweaking the frequency one notch at a time, realizing this word worked, that word didn't.
You know what? It reminds me, man, I listened to a fantastic book, I don't know, probably about a year or two ago. It was Steve Martin, right? Everybody knows the comedian Steve Martin. He wrote a fantastic book called Born Standing Up. And he reads the audio version of it. And it was absolutely fantastic. And it sounds like the same kind of thing. Like he would say, well, I'd start to tell a joke and I saw it didn't go well. And so I'd say it a little different, and then when I saw it had the most chuckles, that's the joke that I would put in my sheet book of what I'm going to do. And so he just kept the ones that didn't get a laugh, he takes that one out of his book, and the ones that does get a laugh, he'll say that at the next nightclub and the next nightclub and the next nightclub. So
Yeah.
it sounds like same sort of thing. Hey, I'm gonna pivot here. I got a different question for you. So you've got this is going to sound self-promoting, but it's not. It's a real question. You've got like loan officers in your branch that are doing really, really, really well. And you and I work at different branches, right? Different, you have a branch where you're a producing branch manager. I'm a non-producing branch manager. But dude, I saw the numbers of some of the loan officers in your branch, and it's impressive. I got to ask you a question. So, and we might edit this part out if this is not okay for me to ask this. So, you've got this loan officer. Her name is Lori.
Yeah.
And I've noticed in like the last 4 months, this lady has had substantial growth. Like, what are you doing to help Lori, or what is she doing? Tell me a little bit about Lori. I want to hear the story about this. By the way, the average loan officer has had a 30% decrease in their business this year.
Yeah. And this month will be her best month ever. And, what's exciting is this, Carl, it goes back to the right activity consistently over the right time will produce the right result. And so there's no guesswork in what to do. We have a daily success plan. On Mondays, we call our agent partners. Tuesdays are just asked. Wednesdays are database. Thursdays are pre-approved and looking. And Lori joined us about 4 months ago. And what has been amazing to see is in 4 months, like literally she had a 250% increase, not a decrease when the market's going 30 to 50% the other way. And you and I are talking to loan officers every day. They're losing ground. She's literally gaining 250%, biggest month ever she put in the pipeline this last 30 days. And
I just want to clarify, which is part of what I found so shocking. She just got in the business like a year ago.
Yeah, she's a year in the business, so she didn't even have a database. She didn't even have, some of us have the ability to have a 20-year database. She didn't have anything. She came out.
So what would you say if you used to grab like one or two things that's moved the needle for her the most, that somebody listening to this go, gee, I think I'll go do that same thing. But like give me a couple of things that she's doing.
Two things. She is 100%. She is 100% embraced the daily success plan, and the second thing is, she has continued to do the right activity, even though she didn't see immediate results. So, Carl, it's interesting. I challenged my branch. We've got a ton of great loan officers. And I just said, guys, regardless of your results, 2.5 months ago, we just started leaning in every day from 9 to 11, making the 2 hours outbound calls. We're going to meet with the right agents every single week. And so it was interesting. We're all running at the same pace. And I'm seeing these group texts and Corbin saying, oh man, I just landed my 10th appointment this week. And Lori's like, hey, I beat you. I got 12 appointments this week. And Candace is saying, man, I got 3 appointments this week. And Rachel, and you're seeing this amazing sales culture around the right activity. Well, that's easy for about 30 days, Carl. But what do you do at 45 when you haven't seen the results yet? Mm-hmm. Here's what we know. Water boils at 212 degrees. And I think so many times as loan officers, if you're not in the right sales culture where you've got people that are encouraging you on your down days and your high days, then you get to 200 degrees and you're about to boil in the water, like the water's about to boil, but you fall short of the 212. Water doesn't boil at 200 degrees. It doesn't matter how hard you work to get it there. Until you hit 212, it will not boil. And what we see all the time, Carl, is people are doing the activity and 45 days later, they say, it doesn't work. It's not working. And what I would encourage you, the breakthrough happens at 65, 75. We see the breakthrough at day 90 to 120. And what has happened is when the day she walked in, she said, I'm going to do the work. I'm going to trust the results are going to come. And when she got discouraged, she leaned into the group sales culture of saying, I'm going to keep, even though I'm not seeing the results. And lo and behold, Carl, she has killed it. And I'm just so proud of her. Even last week, I called her and just said, girl, you should be so proud of not quitting when most people quit. And then when you see the results, Carl, she called me the other day and she said, I've got 2 more loan officers that I'm going to bring on. And the results are intoxicating. Like it takes the 90 to 120 days. I think it's 90 days And if you won't stop short of the breakthrough, if you'll follow the daily success plan, this can be your best year ever and not a year of defeat, and listen, Carl, we wake up. I was sharing with my listeners last month alone, I lost literally 12 loans. I mean, these weren't even loans I got. We lost them, my personal production team. And so we know the pain of what it's like to lose loans. Our branch knows what it's like to lose loans, but you got to just dust your knees off, dust your pants off and say, hey, you know what? Regardless, we're going to continue doing the right activity. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, Lori, Corbin had his best month. I mean, I could list number of the loan officers in our branch that have thrown up their best months ever and what the economy says should be your worst. And it's doing the right activity. Number two, getting in a sales-centric culture and your leadership, man, that they're encouraging you. If you're a branch manager, encourage your people daily. They need to hear from you. We do a group text and I do voice memos. Right before we got on this, I'm sending it out to all of our loan officers saying, hey guys, today, and I did, it's our pre-approved and looking. Let's make sure and get them into our mortgage refresh. You may feel like you had a great week or a down week. I want to encourage you, do the right activity. And I think that if we will continue to lead our teams well, encourage them when they're down, don't let them quit, they will continue to see breakthrough. And I think the other thing is this, I'd be amiss not to say it. Your community matters more than you know. I want to encourage you to go to freedomplanningcall.com and learn about the Mortgage Marketing Animals community, because when you're around the community of loan officers that are striving to get better, they're not listening to the naysayers, they're having their best months ever. It will be inspirational, intoxicating, and it will help you. Who you link arms with matters more than you know. My good friend Jeremy always says, life moves at the speed of relationships. And I'll tell you, each one of the people in our branch, Carl, we pay for them to be a part of the marketing animals because we know the value of that community. And so I think it's important too that you're connected to us at the marketing animals through the Freedom Club and MMA. And so if you want to know more about that, freedomplanningcall.com is a huge resource. And I'll tell you, it's a big part of why they're winning as well. Is that what you're looking for? I mean, I don't know what else to say. You and I were talking about it earlier. It's not rocket science. You just have to do the right activity.
You know what I found, man? Like there's only 4 reasons why loan officers don't have great success. Only 4. There is no fit. I've been doing it for over 2 decades.
Yeah, working
with literally tens of thousands of loan officers on a personal level over the years. 4 reasons. Reason number 1, they don't have a plan. They don't have a plan. Reason number 2, they have a plan, but it sucks. The plan sucks, right? I plan to go and like all the realtors post.
Yeah. Or I'm going to do this office meeting and 200 agents will be there and none of them are qualified.
And I'm not going to follow up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So number 1, I don't have a plan. Number 2, their plan sucks.
That's so
Number
good.
3, they got a great plan, but their execution sucks. Number 4, they're looking for a reason other than 1, 2, or 3. That's it. I'm just telling you right now.
Dude, that's so good.
That's it. So no plan, a bad plan, or great plan, but execution sucks. Or I'm looking for a reason other than 1, 2, and 3. That's it, man. That is it. So it sounds like you got a really good thing going.
Hey, that's such good wisdom. It doesn't have to be. This doesn't have to be your worst year ever. It truly. No. I really, and that's. I think people, and especially you and like my branch, that Carl, they know the sincerity. We're not leading them astray.
Yeah,
we know what works, and there's just no magic pill. And
dude, I
we want to be men. Like, you don't have to get out of this industry. It doesn't have to be the end.
I had a loan officer call me up the other day and wanting a second opinion on something. He says, "Yeah, I'm being told by management, I need to go buy leads." And I went, "Dear God, dear God, who in the heck would tell their loan officers in today's market you need to go buy leads?" That is just, see, that goes back to the plan sucks, right? Yeah. That is just a horrid piece of advice to give somebody to do right. But you said something else a few minutes ago, made me think of something. It does take like 60 days or 90 days. And I was watching a NASCAR race the other day. I'm a big, huge NASCAR fan, which I got us tickets to the Daytona
Come
500, by
on,
the way.
baby.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we're good to go. So so I was watching a race, and there in this case it was, there's guys and girls at race, but this one was a gentleman, and he wrecked his car.
Yeah.
And so he limps his car back to the pits, and they put duct tape on it and a little bubble gum, some paper clips or something, to kind of hold stuff. And the dude goes back out there and runs more laps. Now he has zero chance of winning that race today.
Yeah.
But he gets more points for the championship at the end of the year. And my purpose of saying that, if you find yourself a little beat up right now, it's okay. Great champions get smacked around from time to time, right? I do, Steve. I know you do, right? We all do. Our good friend Dave Savage, I'm sure he has stories that he would say, like anybody that you think of, anybody in the mortgage industry. Look, we all get
Beat
dented up from time to time,
Yeah.
but by gosh, we go in the pits, we bang the dents out, and we get out there and we run some laps. And you do that, you'll win the championship.
That's it.
And so we'll have good weeks and bad weeks, but if you just stick with it, have a good plan, and execute that plan mostly good, right? Not all the time, not perfect, but mostly good. You'll have great results. Hey, I know we're running close on time, but dude, this is one of my favorite questions of all time. I just love this question. If you could if you could go back and tell Steve 10 years ago one thing, and you got like 30 seconds to tell him, what's the one thing you'd tell? And I don't want to hear go buy Bitcoin, right? Or go buy Amazon stock, but something in the mortgage business. If you could go tell Steve something 10 years ago, what would you tell him?
Yeah. Well, and if I had 30 seconds, the first thing I thought of was don't get distracted. Focus on the one thing that actually moves the needle. And it's typically not it'd be, man, I just think about all the distractions. Hey, Steve, I would focus on what really matters. And you don't have to be busy to be effective. And if I'm doing my mortgage business, it would be the fundamentals of the daily success plan. Stay committed, stay to the process, and don't get distracted. And I think I can look back, and Carl, there were times where I got distracted. I thought, man, if I go chase this shiny object and I chase this shiny object, for me, it would be, don't be distracted, focus on the fundamentals. I would give myself the daily success plan. And then just say, remember, once you master this, find the who can keep moving it forward for you, so that you're acquiring great talent and you're focused on what matters.
Man, that's a great statement. You said a lot of good stuff there. The one that really caught my ear was, if you find yourself busy, you might be doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Right? If you find yourself busy, don't be busy, be productive. Huge difference between those two.
2 years ago, I thought the hours mattered more than the results. You and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I was trying to think of how do I say all that in 30 seconds, but you and I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. You asked me a question. You said, hey, how's your branch growing? We were talking about it. And I said, Carl, the number of loan officers in my branch matters less than their production, because if they're producing, that's how we know they're winning. And in the past, I would have been intoxicated with more about busy, or more about, hey, I've worked my 10 hours, or hey, I've got 50 loan officers in my branch. The numbers matter less than the results, because the results are what lead to freedom in every area of life. And I think our society, and this is what I hate about social media, and I have to tell you, I hate it, is we are so busy with being entertained and not being productive. And even in this business, you say, well, hey, I did 2 hours of calls. Great. I'm coaching my loan officers right now, Carl. Here's the difference. I see it, like for a little while, you're like, hey, just make the calls. How many calls did you make this week? I made 200. I made 300. I made 150. Awesome. What you realize is, Carl, it doesn't matter how many calls you made. How many talk tos did you have? Yeah. Isn't that the better question? So every time you got to go a layer deeper. It's like we get intoxicated. Well, I made my 200 calls. Awesome. How many talk tos? I had 4. Okay, well, that's not effective. So you got to change your strategy, because if you're not talking to people, you're not building relationships. And our industry is intoxicated with go buy more internet leads. Why? So I'll be busy making worthless phone calls. Wow, that really helps. How about you learn how to work?
And you're paying and you're paying to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I get to work 50 hours a week instead of learning how to work. Like, dude, why not work 10 hours a week and make $1 million instead of working 50 hours a week and making $250,000? Man, I'll take the first every day. The problem is we don't let ourselves off the hook for being effective. Like, if I can put my war paint on and produce more results in 10 hours than somebody can in 40 or 50, dude, I win. And that's where the message has got lost in our industry is you need to be here and stay busy and punch the clock. I'm not punching a clock. I'm punching freedom. I want to work with people that are high producing, high performing people that are intoxicated with results, so we can make a difference in this industry, make a difference in the lives of our loan officers, make a difference in our community together. And it doesn't mean you're a slave. It means I'm now a benefactor. I'm somebody who has the opportunity to give more than we receive. And you can't do that when you're busy and full of nonsense. And that's what I would have told myself 10 years ago, is get more laser focused on results. And I got to tell you, Carl, you were one of my dearest friends. This last year and a half for us has been amazing. And I have learned more about effective versus busy from you and I's hours and hours and hours of conversation. You constantly challenge me in this. And that's what I want to challenge. And we'll close out the podcast here. I know it's a little bit longer, but I got to tell you, Carl, you're so gifted at not only at identifying talent, but even just the effectiveness of what we do. Like, you always challenge me. How do I do the least to get the same result? That's not lazy. That's effective. How do I do the least to get the most desired result? And that's what we have to keep communicating to our people. If you can do the calls and be effective in 10 hours and see the same results, go live the rest of your life of freedom. Like, I just think we got to our industry has to have permission to be effective and not listen to the people that say, well, you're a slave. I mean, the reason why they want you to be a slave, Carl, is because they're a slave. And they resent the fact that we've learned how to be more effective. So I love you dearly. I'm so grateful every day I wake up and just say, what an honor to have a friend like you. And I have caught so much, and you've taught me so much. I just love you to death, man. And I want our listeners to know that I am better because of you and our friendship. And man, you make me better, brother. I'm gonna tear up over here.
Well, we can sit here and have a love fest because it's back to the iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
That you've definitely upped my game in a major way. Hey, I just want to ask one question, just out of curiosity. Where's Lori located at? Like what?
Yeah, Texas.
She's in Texas. Okay.
Yeah, in Texas.
Yeah. Where at in Texas? What city?
Dallas, in the Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just curious. Yeah, where she's located at. So
great
cool.
people.
And how many aren't you in like 40 some states or something like that?
Yes, we are.
Do you find so having loan officers all across the country, and maybe this is a whole different episode, but I'm just curious if you're seeing the same thing I am. Do you really see, like, being all over the country like you are, do you see any difference in the areas, like, I don't know, the loan officers in, Louisiana have an advantage over the loan officers in Minnesota, or like, do you see any differences in the different areas of the country? Is it all about this? Like, what do you see?
No, you know what I'm seeing the biggest difference is the product knowledge of what there are different areas, like California is really driving home different products than Oklahoma. And so, and then Virginia's
you mean loan programs?
Like loan programs and products, like they're using more non-QM, but as far as the activity, it's the same activity. The same activity is producing the same results. What the real difference is, some people are having to lean into different products based on their local market. Yeah. Non-QM is thriving more than the conventional. And we all know in almost every market, there's a handful of high VA markets where there's a high concentration of air bases, where like San Antonio is still doing a lot of VA loans in Texas. Yeah. So you're going to see the product mix is more the difference than the activity. The activity is the same. Making the calls to the right people, being effective, talking to them, closing for the business. And Carl, I think, and we didn't say this, but really being a part of a group that coaches loan partners. Like we are coaching our loan partners every single day on asking for the business. Everybody has got to be asking for the business in today's marketplace. So, all right. Hey, well, listen, everybody, Carl, I love you, brother. Thank you for asking questions, man. What a cool way. And
dude, are you kidding me? Most people have to pay big dollars to ask questions and get a consultation with here. Dude, I just got it for free. Are you kidding me? I'm sitting there, I'm writing down all this stuff. Okay, I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to do this. Yeah, dude, anytime you want to do this, I'm happy to interview you for you. Happy to do it anytime. It's like having an interview with Warren Buffett or something. It's like, Warren going, thank you. It's like, no, dude, Warren, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, well, I love you, brother. Hey, for all of our listeners, if you're listening today and you say, man, Carl, I loved what you said. 4 things. Don't have a plan. The plan sucks. Have a great plan. Don't know how to execute, or you're looking for a reason not to do 1, 2, or 3. If it's number 4, don't reach out to planningcenter.com. freedomplanningcall.com. But if you don't have a plan, or you feel like, hey, my plan sucks, or I have a good plan, but I don't know how to execute it.
Or it worked last year, but it's not working this year.
Yeah, we can help you with that. So go to freedomplanningcall.com. We've got a great team, Ralph, Mike, Erica. We'd love to invest 45 minutes with you to help you build a plan on how to make sure that this year can be as good as 2020 or 2021. We believe you can have your best month every single month, and we know how to help you get there. So freedomplanningcall.com. We'd love to be a part of that. Also, one thing I would ask, thank you for being a great part of our community. Would you give us a review? Those reviews are helping us. I love reading them. I literally pulled it up this morning and just felt so encouraged reading the comments. And they're saying, man, I love Carl and Steve and the Marketing Animals and what you guys are doing for us. It is an encouragement. It also helps get the word out. Would you give us a review? And then also share this with 2 loan officers. You've heard the message today and you say, man, I know somebody who needs to hear this. Would you stop wherever you're at right now, hit the share button to 2 loan officers who can benefit from today? That would be a huge help. And make sure that you subscribe so that every week you're getting the episodes. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for allowing us to be just on this journey with you. We count it an honor. We steward it well. And remember this, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Just get started. See ya.